How's it going, everybody? I'm Jakejames Lugo, and welcome to the channel, where you'll find some of the most fair and honest game reviews out here. And finally, this game has released No More Heroes 3 for the Nintendo Switch. I've been following this for quite a long time. I've been waiting for this for quite a long time, and now I finally get to talk about it. No More Heroes 3 is the latest game from series creator Suda 51. It's the fourth game to come out under the name of No More Heroes, but the third numbered entry that continues the story of Travis Touchdown. I know that's weird, but this is a wacky series already, so just roll with me here. It's been a long time since the previous game came out, and it's only now that we're finally getting to see what comes next for Travis and the rest of Santa Destroy. The plot of No More Heroes 3 picks up about 10 years after the events of No More Heroes 2, but only about 2 years after everything that happened in the spin-off game, Travis Strikes Again. An alien force under the command of a being known as Jess Baptiste VI, better known as Fu, comes to Earth and starts taking over. Fu is able to do this with the help of a guy named Damon Riccatello, whom he met about 20 years prior as a child and granted special powers. How exactly does this connect to Travis Touchdown? Well, Travis sees the craziness unfolding outside of his motel and decides to take up arms against the aliens, taking on Fu and his top-ranking intergalactic assassins in a contest to fight for the fate of the Earth, and decide who is the strongest in the universe. This is an absolutely insane plot that gets even more ridiculous and over the top as you go, bringing in some familiar faces from the entire series with tons, and I mean tons, of pop culture references and otaku references too. Let me just say that if you're a fan of Kamen Rider or any of the kind of tokusatsu series, you're gonna have a big laugh here. But does all of this style help No More Heroes 3 to become a fun game to play through? Or does everything end up feeling wonky after being absent for such a long time?
Travis,
Oh, hey, Gene.
where is this?
Inside him. We're basically in his universe.
That sucks. I'll begin searching for hostiles.
So that asshole is hiding somewhere among these billions of stars, huh?
So before we get into the real deep stuff about No More Heroes 3, there is one thing I do want to address that I feel is very important when talking about this game. It's just as very weird from all the different reviews and impressions that I saw about No More Heroes 3 from various different websites and other YouTubers. It seems like a lot of people are giving many excuses for different things that I feel personally are a big detriment to the experience. It really boils down to a few little things, but one thing that really stood out to me that they all had in common was that everybody was praising this one t-shirt that Travis can wear that says fuck racism on it. And while that's fine and dandy, again, that's something that should be a standard mindset for everybody out here, that in no way is one reason to give an excuse for all these other issues that I feel the game has that is a real problem. Again, it's totally fine that it's in there. Again, I'm really more kind of like in agreement with everybody else, but we're going to be fair and honest here. We're going to look at this game in its totality, and we're not going to use this one thing as an excuse for all the other like cons that this game might have. That being said, one of the things that really stood out to me as I was playing No More Heroes 3 was all these different texture pop-ins that happen so frequently and all these other graphical glitches that are all over the place within this game. It's just super like weird to me that everybody would just ignore that because it's so in your face. Like there's certain areas in this game where the texture pop-ins just get so bad. Even like during cutscenes, like every single cutscene, there's this weird texture pop-in when it's playing with the game docked on the Switch that is just so in your face. It's like, what the hell? Like, how can anybody really miss this stuff? At the same time, there's all these different invisible walls within the environments, and there's all these other little, like, bugs and glitches between the enemies and other stuff that you see within the world as you're roaming around as Travis. That, to me, it's just, it should have been ironed out. It should not be in there. Granted, there's things that get past, like, Q&A and testers here and there, but when there's so many that are, like, just in your face, how can anybody ignore that? On the flip side of this, as far as the plot is concerned, this is the next chapter of Travis Touchdown's story, and it's just as crazy and over the top as you might remember it as it should be for a Suda 51 game. However, there's certain things about it that just don't make sense. There's pretty much a lot of random elements that happen in this game that are just kind of like weird explanations for other aspects, and then certain things about the No More Heroes franchise, like from previous games, are completely ignored, not even addressed, or at least handled in a way that just seems so outlandish and so weird. Some people will really like it, other people would be just like super confused. Personally, as a fan that has played and reviewed every single game on this channel, some of it just felt very mediocre. It was just kind of like, a quick reason to kind of keep things moving and get focused on all this other intergalactic stuff. But as far as like the fan service is there, I should say. A lot of the pop culture references are there, but at times, maybe it just lingers a little bit too much. It felt like some of the jokes and some of the humor there just was trying to work at being funny. It was trying to be really humorous, but it was just meandering. It was just kind of there and lingering for way too long. Like, what's up with these cutscenes that are like done on like a tube TV, and it just looks really weird, and they're talking, Travis is having a conversation with his friend Bishop about Miike. Like, every single, like, in between all the ranked fights, they're having these conversations about Miike movies, and for the longest time I was like, who the hell is Miike? And like, why is it so important? Apparently, it's a director in Japan that, they're kind of poking fun at, or at least, praising a lot with his films. But the majority of people, I feel like, if you're not really into the humor of No More Heroes, you're not going to care for this, and you're going to feel like you're wasting your time. So besides all of this, let's talk about the gameplay, because this is where at least No More Heroes really shines, at least in the previous game. So does No More Heroes 3 deliver in that regard? Now, in all fairness, No More Heroes 3 does have some improvements over its predecessors. The combat feels like a better tuned version of what we got in No More Heroes 2, which is good. However, I feel there's a lot of issues with the camera, especially when you're forced into tight areas as you're fighting enemies. Travis can hack and slash his opponents with his beam katana attacks and use extra abilities utilizing his death glove. Building up combos and landing attacks increases your tension and allows you to destroy enemies with a death blow, which starts spinning up that infamous slot machine that grants Travis special bonus powers. Look, I get that this is a thing for the series, but I still feel that it's too random and only lands on Healthful Boost when it wants to. You're never really in full control of it. Sometimes I feel like you'll get lucky enough to get an amazing boost, such as Travis turning into his mecha armor and bombarding the whole area, while at other times you just might not get anything at all. It's super inconsistent, and sometimes your boosts just get negated by the enemies that are around you. Speaking of, there's a variety of baddies that you're fighting this time, which is fine, but in later parts of the game, enemies start to get really cheap with their damage output and their erratic behavior. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I would get hit or killed by attacks that I just couldn't see coming, or the immense amount of damage that I would take from random attacks that would otherwise appear to be inane. It got super annoying in certain battles and made me retry them more than a few times. Some people have said that certain enemies have instant kill moves, but in reality, their damage output is just way too high for specific attacks that they have, and with how janky their animations can appear, it's a recipe for a very bad time.
Right on.
Raspberry! Double kill!
Now that's just one aspect of the game. The other side of No More Heroes 3 has you traveling around different maps outside of Santa Destroy. To its credit, the game takes you to new areas that we've never seen before. Using his newly constructed Akira referencing bike, Travis could travel around Santa Destroy and travel to other areas to partake in ranked battles, work small-time jobs for extra cash, fly up to space to fight optional aliens, and even follow a few side stories unrelated to the main plot. If you've watched any of my previous video reviews about the No More Heroes series, you'll know that I'm not a huge fan of the open world exploration. And unfortunately, this game does little to change my mind about that. It's neat that we get to see new locations, but they all feel very blah to explore and look very bad in some cases. One location is named Call of Battle, which is a huge reference to the Call of Duty series. It has this foggy atmosphere and bland color palette. It just looks crappy and can be very hard to see off in the distance. Look, I get this is supposed to be a huge nod to World War II games, but it could have been tweaked far more and look a lot better. Don't even get me started on the number of invisible walls and other tomfoolery that happens in here. Other locations are a bit more colorful and have different themes going on for them, but a huge problem that they all have in common is how empty and boring they are to explore. Like in previous games, you won't find many people roaming the city or anything of substance to pay attention to when you're going from one place to the next. And worse yet, all of the stuff that you do outside of the ranked battles are boring, repetitive, and meager time wasters. I'm sorry, but real talk, this is where a lot of momentum for the game is lost.
This is taking way too long. How long is this guy gonna walk?
Just be patient.
Ugh, it's so damn long.
He's probably tired.
For reals, this is fucking long.
He might be injured.
Isn't this just a huge waste of time?
Just chill, okay? We start getting antsy, we lose.
What the fuck is the point of this? He's just fucking with us now, right?
He's getting closer.
Something I want to go back to that's related to the combat is the boss fights. While all the different boss fights that you have with the ranked battles and even some of the optional battles, they're all unique in different ways. They all suffer from the same problems though, like different camera angles that are just super annoying and frustrating and really mess with you during the fight, but also some of the different bugs and glitches and some of the really unbalanced attacks that they do have. Like, why is it that I'm getting like ridiculous damage from like these most like stupid like small attacks for whatever reason? Like if I get hit by something that I just can't see that's like off camera or out of my view, all of a sudden I lose like a third or 2/3 of my health, and it's like, what the hell? Like, it just comes out of nowhere sometimes, and it makes some of these boss fights super frustrating, where you might have to repeat them at least 2 or 3 times. The one positive about this is that when you do lose a life or when you do die as Travis, you get this little like spin wheel that gives you a chance to get a bonus like boost where you could get like an attack boost, you could actually come back to life immediately, you could get a tension boost, or at times you could get nothing or have it where your power for your beam katana is completely depleted at the start of the battle. Stuff like that, I mean, I get it why it's there, but personally, I would rather have it where I could just like do other things so that way the boss fights are less frustrating. Like, it's just annoying to just deal with some of these things. Not all the boss fights are terrible, don't get me wrong, some of them look really freaking cool and they're really humorous and are real big nods to other aspects of games. Like, there's this whole section of one of the boss fights at the very beginning of it is a big nod to JRPGs, which is kind of funny for a little bit, but again, with the humor in this game, it just meanders and lingers for way too long. Like, it feels like it should be a lot shorter than what it actually is. And other boss fights have similar things to them. Granted, once you get into the action, it starts getting into the flow of stuff a little bit better. But again, like when you have to deal with bad camera angles, when you have to deal with like, you know, unbalanced attacks or just attacks that just come out of nowhere, when you have to deal with just frustrating elements of the combat where like certain enemies are either just powering through some of your attacks or they're doing other stuff that really like messes up your day, it could get really freaking annoying. But for all that I say about this stuff, what about the extra content? Do at least the rewards that you get for engaging with all this stuff, is that any good? Well, man, let's talk about it. For me, this has to be the most disappointing aspect about No More Heroes 3. It just feels like a big fumble in so many ways. First off, the majority of side activities you do reward you with only money and ability points to power up Travis. You spend money to enter in the ranked battles and other random stuff, such as the gacha statues you could collect and food at the sushi bars, which give you boost for your next fight. The problem I have is that at some point in the game, I found myself ignoring all of this because it straight up didn't benefit me at all. I really wasn't earning anything or doing anything all that interesting. The t-shirts that you could obtain from aliens that are hanging out in different spots of the area is pretty cool, but once again, these collectibles felt underwhelming since I wasn't really changing my shirt all that much. My question is, where is all the extra beam katanas you could collect like in the previous games? For whatever reason, it's just not in here at all. There's also collectible Deathman cards and Jean's Kins that you could find hidden in different locations, but as far as I know, you don't get anything special for finding them all. And by the time I finished the main story, it really didn't matter if I collected them or not. One thing I did find that was somewhat okay was the bonus adventures you could discover in certain locations. They give you this visual novel cutscene like in the ones that we got in Travis Strikes Again. But these are super underwhelming and don't really contribute to the main story in any meaningful way. You don't even get a reward for completing them all. Maybe there's some undiscovered stuff related to this, but in my game I completed just about everything and really got nothing for it. I would have honestly taken something like a concept art gallery or something to view all the animation cutscenes within the game as a bonus. But to me, the biggest disappointment is how you don't get to play as any of the other characters, such as Shinobu or Bad Girl. The previous game had them as unlockables, and they do make an appearance in here. But that's about it, nothing more than that. It would have been cool to see a payoff where we get to see what happens to them in the story, and then later on have them as unlockables for any of the optional fights. It's a damn shame because by the time I finished watching the end credits of No More Heroes 3 and checked out some of the bonuses I earned, it all just felt incredibly underwhelming.
What do you like, Shinobu?
What do I like? I like my master.
Huh. So you're a real straight shooter, I see.
That's not what he means. What kind of movies do you like?
Cheese style stuff.
Cheese style? Gundam type? terraformers!
It's like, damn man, I'm really trying hard to like a lot of this stuff, and don't get me wrong, there is some good nuggets of fun in there. Like for example, there's a huge reference to Super Smash Bros. In this game towards the very end, which is kind of funny. It really comes out of nowhere. If anything, it makes a stronger case why Travis Touchdown should be in Smash Bros. But besides that, like there's other elements to the fan service which are kind of cool, but in my personal opinion, are really mishandled. One thing that I don't think is a huge spoiler, but at least, very lightly I'll talk about it. Henry, Travis's brother, reappears in this game, and what they do with him, I think is just kind of like, man, it's just kind of blah, and it's really not all that great. I mean, they try to harken back to the very first No More Heroes game, but then what they do afterwards with the way that his whole story arc is completed, it's just kind of like, man, that was super underwhelming. That was super disappointing. It could have been so much better if they went in a totally different direction. The other fan service to other pop culture stuff, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the whole like Kamen Rider stuff, Gundam, there's even a Daemon Ex Machina reference in here, which just, again, comes out of nowhere. That stuff is fine, but like everything else, especially with the series itself, it's whatever, man. I'm really trying hard to like some of this stuff, and the game continuously gave me more reasons to be a little bit more disappointed. Man, it really stings to come out and say all of this. For real, as a Suda51 fan, this is a tough discussion to have. But can I recommend that you pick up No More Heroes 3 for the Nintendo Switch? Honestly, no. I can't give this game my recommendation at all. I find that a lot of reviews by other YouTubers and various websites were making some heavy excuses for aspects of the game that are not good, and probably for the most inane of reasons too. The game has a lot of technical issues that should have been ironed out, and while there are some improvements over its predecessors, No More Heroes 3 still suffers from many of the things that I've pointed out in my previous reviews. The combat is decent, but it's muddied by camera issues and some cheap enemy AI for most of the battles. The open world is far better than before, but still feels lifeless and empty once again. If you've never played any of the previous No More Heroes games, I don't think this is the one that will get you into the series, unless you're willing to forgive a lot of shortcomings and just roll with it. Overall, it's great to see Travis Touchdown again in a new game, but I wish that his return was accompanied by a far better experience.
As you can see, things got all funky real quick. There's probably some planet-eating type dude waiting for me up ahead. All yoked and powerful and trying to take over the world or something. But don't you worry, a hero descends. What? There are no heroes in this world? Oh, but there totally are. My name is Travis Touchdown. I'm the last hero around, here to save the world. I'm also just a passing assassin. Here we go. Taking a kill trip on Death Row.
And there you go, everyone. Those are my overall thoughts about No More Heroes 3 for the Nintendo Switch. Man, I really wanted to like this game more than what I actually did, and it's super disappointing just seeing everybody's opinions about this. Granted, everybody's got their own opinion and perspective on it, but I just felt like there was just so many excuses being given for so many things that were wrong with this game. If your game has technical aspects about it that need adjustments or just appear messed up or banged up, like, nobody should be given an excuse for that. What is that noise? It's just, a shame. Granted, there's some positive elements to this game, and as a fan of this series and as someone who's reviewed every single game on this channel, which you could check out, by the way, it's just, I wanted this to be better. I wanted this to be a lot more fun. I wanted this to be more interesting. And what we got here is just fine. It's meh. It's mediocre in some ways. And to me, that's just disappointing. Now, one more thing I should address too that actually appeared on Twitter from Suda51 himself. He did come out and say that this is the last game for Travis Touchdown as far as the No More Heroes series is concerned. I personally don't believe that for 1 second. I feel like there's going to be other games down the line. Maybe Suda51 just doesn't want to work on this series right now. He wants to do some other stuff, maybe create some new series. But personally for me, I don't believe that. I think that eventually we'll see Travis Touchdown again in some capacity. Maybe in a sequel, maybe another spin-off game, but I don't believe for a second that this series is over. Of course, as always, with any game that I review on this channel, that's just my opinion about No More Heroes 3. Let me know your own opinions and perspective about this game down below in the comments section. Tell me, are you a big fan of No More Heroes? Do you like Travis Touchdown? What did you think of all the impressions and reviews of this game that people were talking about this? Like, just in general, now having seen my review and all the stuff that I mentioned, I mean, where do you guys stand on that? What is your guys' perspective on this? Because again, for me, I find myself at odds with everybody else's thoughts about this game, but Alas, it was bound to happen at some point, but let me know about that stuff down below in the comments section. Thanks a bunch for watching the video, I really appreciate it a ton. I'll have more videos for you to enjoy here on the side that I know you'll love. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon too. Don't forget to visit my Patreon linked below for early access to new videos every week, and join the Discord server too. It's linked in the description box below. You'll definitely love being a part of it. Thanks again, peace out, and stay epic everybody.